Hello, everybody, or whoever's listening for right now, from my corner of the world to your corner of the world. Oh my god, my drink is kind of going down slow. Okay, I'm gonna try to make this quick, maybe like 20-30 minutes, because it's kind of chilly out here tonight, unexpectedly. And I just got off work. I have some food waiting on me, and my heating pad, my bed. I'm off tomorrow, so don't want to be out here all night. Today's topic. I was scrolling on Twitter, which I already have a few other topics for other videos, but so I don't have to sit out here and like film back to back to back to back to back. I'll just whenever I feel like filming, I'll pick a topic. Tomorrow I may feel like filming another one or recording another one. Um, but I have some that are like already in my head and in my heart and things like that. And so on those, I'll just drop them. But I don't like to talk about anything like unprovoked. I like for it to already be a topic. Um, and the reason because I feel like sometimes like we have to ask ourselves, why do we want to talk about this, right? Why do we feel like this should be said? So I'm a firm believer that like if someone doesn't ask, don't tell. And I used to not be this way, but after loving the man that I love, I realized that sometimes you want to help people or you want to like voice your opinion on things, and some people just do not care, and you will waste your time and you will waste your energy. Not necessarily saying that that's what happened with him, like I wasted my time on him, but I think you, let me say you misplace it when it could be sought elsewhere. And so you don't want to do that. You want to, show up for what calls to you instead of just showing up anywhere, anyhow, anytime because you feel like, that's where you deserve to be. Because once again, I think the point of experience and interaction with the outside world is that it won't always do exactly what we feel like it should do right when it should do it. And it keeps us kind of on our toes. Um, and I have like a whole theory about that I'll talk about later, right? Later. And then today on the bus, I was reading this book. It is fucking chilly as shit. Let me put my hoodie on, cause yikes, holy moly. Let me hurry up and do this and go inside. I was not expecting it to be this chilly. I'm okay with it being this chilly though, because that means less mosquitoes are out. Yesterday I got ate the fuck up talking to you guys. But and I say you guys, because like right now nobody's probably listening. But who knows? In 10 years, 20 years, who knows who may be listening? Or I like to record things and always picture like what if like a random set of kids find it in their, grandparents' attic or something, you know, and they may be listening. You never fucking know who may be listening. But if you hear this, then obviously someone's. Um, so everyone, whoever, whatever. But when I was on the bus today, I was reading this book that I've actually really enjoyed so far. And so I think I want to make like a topic on that. Um, but it also relates to a lot of topics I have like screenshotted. So I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that. But that will probably be like maybe, I don't know. I don't want to call it a series, but a lot of things I talk about connect to one another because everything connects, right? Everything's connected. So it all just depends when the time comes how the layout of it will be, but I'm very excited for it. Okay, so let me bust out my phone here so I can tell you exactly what the post said. And this is not the one I'd rather talk about tonight, but I'm going in order. So it says girls will suffer unearthly tragedies and still run errands the same day with a smile on their face. But if a man's parents divorce when he is 12, he will unleash his wrath on the world for the rest of his life. I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. Okay. And that's obviously some topic someone else felt the need to, start or state. And I think the internet is healthiest when we all use it as a discussion board, you know, a discussion board or one big chat room, one big Discord. I have my reasons as to why I think this is. Not about the Discord and the chat room and internet. I have my reasons on that as well, but my reasons on the topic at hand, why I think it is. It kind of relates to, oh, boys are easier to raise than girls. And we're gonna get really deep here. So like I said, it's fucking cold. I'm gonna be pissed if I'm out here for 50 minutes to an hour. But I got some shit to say. And my food is not gonna taste the best if I don't get to it soon. And I think I've used all the butter to go with it. It's a specific kind of butter that my job has. It's fucking amazing. But this kind of connects to a topic that I'll elaborate on maybe a little further in detail when that video comes up. But it talks about, well, I don't even remember the exact wording of it, but it basically talked about how the government not believing in science. And I think people who believe that are very um ignorant on the topic because the government believes in science. The government uses science against us. They use a different type of science, like science that it would blow your fucking mind if you knew the details of it. And I think that's another reason I made this channel is so we can all be on the same page. I think, it kind of talks back to Sun Tzu when he says the best way to win a war is if your enemy don't even know like they're at war with you yet. And I mean, think about it. If you're, launching a silent war for 300 years on somebody, imagine how much damage, how many losses they've taken in that 300 years that they have not even known about. And imagine how much you've gained in that 300 years that they don't know about. They don't even know they're at war. And so I feel like we do ourselves a disservice when we don't look into literally every piece of document or word or picture or whatever that there is. Because if they own the institutions, they own the museums, the art galleries, you know, the elite colleges, quote unquote, and they own the banks, they own the, you know, the properties, and of course they know things that we don't because they own it. And then they get to say who sees it and who doesn't see it, or if anyone sees it at all. So the best thing we can do is read everything, and also read everything with a grain of salt. So don't just read everything and take it in, but take it in with a grain of salt, no matter what it is. Even if it's from one of your favorite people whatsoever, just take it with a grain of salt, because everyone has a selfish reason as to why they're doing what they're doing. And that's another video I'll talk about one day, how I believe that everyone is a narcissist and everyone is a sociopath. But I do believe it's a spectrum. So you're either, you know, higher on the spectrum or lower on the spectrum of both. But survival instinct is inherently narcissistic, because you're saying you deserve to live, like I deserve to live. And the thing is, someone else might think you don't deserve to live, but you're so full of yourself that you're sure, like, I have to fight. I deserve to live. And even if it's instinctual, whoever programmed you to think that, whatever the creator, if there is one, which I spoke about in one of my previous videos. I think the introduction video that got lost. Me being, I think what is it? If I do have to identify as something, I think it's called like a pantheist or something, where we believe God is in everything and God is everything, and everyone. But basically, that is a narcissistic spirit. That is a narcissistic encoding. That like, hey, you have to survive. You have to make it. It has to be you above all. And so you want to take that into consideration, even when you're listening to my stuff, you know, everything with a grain of salt, because I have limited knowledge, only 28 years of knowledge. And then, you know, whatever I've read or witnessed or whatever, but that's about it. Or been told, maybe. But we won't know until we know, if we know, if that makes sense. Um, and so they definitely do use science of the highest form. I like to call it alchemy. A lot of people call it witchcraft, magic, mind control, yada, 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 yada. But the old wise oaks just called it alchemy. And the thing is, alchemy is the same. It's the same. Only your intention changes its impact. But either way, the formula is the same. The formula is pretty much the same. Um, and so the alchemy of it is they want us to think that boys are easier to raise than girls. And the reason why they say that is because they say, oh, it's expected of a boy to have anger issues. He has a lot of testosterone, so he's going to have a lot of anger in him. It's normal for a boy to be more sexually enticed than a girl because he's a boy. It's normal. It's normal for a boy to be badder than a girl because he has all this energy pent up and he doesn't know where to put it. And so you don't have to expect much of him. Whereas a woman, you have to teach her how to do this and teach her how to do that and teach her how to do this and that and this and that and this and that. And so much more is expected of her. And you're the one who has to teach it all to her. So that's why, God damn it, I'm having a girl. Now I have all these things I have to teach her. Whereas if it was a boy, it'd be easier. And we're supposed to protect girls more than boys for some reason, you know. Um, Instead of just raising our boys, our young men, with more intent, or should I say more intentionally. But instead, we just say, oh, well, boys are easier to raise. You know, back then, you just give them some friends and some sticks and they'll play swords and that's it. Or in my generation, you just give them an Xbox and a controller and they'll, raise themselves. And these days, you just give them a tablet or an iPhone and they're good to go, right? But with girls, it's always harder and you have to watch her and, the world's out to get her. But we never put the correlation together. If we're protecting our young girls and we're raising them as we're protecting them from young men, then why don't we just raise our young men better instead of just saying it's easier to raise them? Because if they keep turning out this way, then obviously we're missing something. And so instead of just saying, oh, it's easy, it's easy, it's easy, okay, it may be easy, but are we doing it right? Because what the fuck is really going on? And so it's also easier because when a guy or a young boy has emotions, you can just say, oh, brush it off, be a man, stop crying, be a man. A man doesn't do all of that, right? But when it's a girl, we have to nurture her and hold her and, oh, come here, sit down, talk to me. And, it's normal for a young girl to feel these things. And, oh, it's okay. Bring us some tissue in here. And we are very careful and gentle. And we can also blame her emotions on her period. Oh, it's just your period, sweetie. You're just, PMSing and things like that. So we are more, how should I say, detailed with how we raise our young women. And so boys from a young age are taught to stifle their emotions, keep them in, don't show them. And when we do say to show them, you have to do it, in a calculated manner. You have to have a sharper mind than the other man because it's a dog eat dog world out here. It's survival of the fittest. And that actually, oh, excuse me, kind of goes into the topic of the video that I'll make one day about the book. But you know, you're supposed to, be sharp with your mind and witty and all these things. And for women, we're taught emotions, not really mind work. We're taught more emotional work. And you have to take care of your babies. You have to care for your babies. You have to nurture your babies. Where men are taught you just have to provide for your babies. They're rarely taught how to listen to children, how to, empathize with children, how to actually protect children other than physical violence or, using their Second Amendment right or whatever. Other than that, they forget there's other ways to protect a child. When a child is going through something and they need, a shoulder to lean on or a listening ear, or when a child is going through puberty, instead of saying, okay, well, go talk to your mom about that, or sitting with your son and going, balls drop, it happens, your voice gonna get deeper, hair's gonna grow, and now you just gotta take care of yourself and get bitches. Maybe what they're looking for is a bit more detail on why their body does this, how their body does this, and not just their looks, but how to actually be kind to a woman, protect a woman, take care of a woman, instead of just provide for a woman. Because nowadays, we see a lot of, if I'm going to pay for this and da da da, a bitch got to do this, instead of remembering that that woman has emotions and being able to empathize with her, because he was not taught emotions or empathy. He was only taught provision. And so he thinks, okay, I look good, I take care of myself, and I have provisions. That must be it. And I think that's why we have a lot of the issues we have now between males and females, is because they want us to believe men should only be emotionless providers. And we should raise our men as such. Because if we have to go to war, our men shouldn't have emotions. They need to be ready to kill on the battlefield any other man. And instead of realizing they're killing a man who's just like them, who probably has family back home just like them, who probably has favorite foods that they're looking forward to or hoping they can get back to just like them, favorite video games, favorite pastimes, even a friend group outside of the ones they're fighting next to, just like them. That they're someone's loved one, just like them. And so if you don't teach your sons empathy, they're more likely to go and kill for their nation or for capitalism. Or they're more likely to say capitalism is all there is and all there should be, because capitalism is not rooted in empathy. It's actually the opposite. The more empathy you have, the harder it is to live in capitalism. And so they don't want your sons having empathy. Because once again, if it ever comes time to kill someone else to keep capitalism going, that's what they need your sons to do. And so now they have put so much TV where men are these Vikings and these warriors and these knights and all these things, but we forget to we rarely see the emotion or the psychological issues that go into being a knight or a warrior or things like that. We just see it and that's it. A good battle fight scene, and ooh, that's my favorite character. And oh my God, he just got knocked over, off his horse, like get back up. But we rarely see the emotions behind what they go through, because they don't want us to see these people as human, and they don't want them to see themselves humanized. And so we're raising unempathetic, unemotional men or males. And then when they finally do show emotion, it's supposed to once again be calculative, be very, stern. You need to lead with a stern fist. And, you need to be stable and not be swayed by anything. Like, you're the man, what you say goes, you're in charge. It's your way or the highway type of thing. And so when they finally do release emotions, they think that it should only be in a sense of power, in a sense of demand, in a sense of being in charge. And that's how they start to come into the world. And not only that, I think they then sometimes see their fathers heartbroken because of divorce, or their fathers heartbroken because of this or because of that. And after they've been taught their whole life to be strong, it's kind of like, oh, this heartbreak made my dad weak. This heartbreak made me look at my dad a certain way, instead of my dad, succeeding, or, making this work. He failed, and I'm not going to be like him, you know? And so it becomes very much, they become kind of almost in competition, I feel like, with their fathers, um, to outman their fathers. And so each generation becomes a more no nonsense type of generation of men. And they feel like, I can't empathize. I can't take her way. I can't listen to her. She's too emotional, because they're taught that about women. We are taught that men aren't good at emotions, and that's just how they are. And so we feel like when we get in a man who isn't in tune with his emotions, oh, he's just being a man. That's normal. When in reality, it's not. And when they get with women, they're told women are too emotional. And so that's how they want us to think we are. When we have shows for little girls and women, they're about falling in love and finding a prince, someone who's going to take care of you and care for you and be there for you. And so we're looking for this stable, kind, loving figure who's going to be there for us. But they teach them, you can't be there for her. The only thing you can do is provide for her and let her emotions be with her friends. That's what her friends are for. That's what her sisters are for. That's what the church is for. That's what God is for. And anything else, she's just whining. She's just being emotional. And, you just nod and smile and leave it at that. And so they breed us in disconnect from each other. And there's reasons for that as well. Because if a man truly was in touch with his emotions and he didn't want to go fight another man, that's one thing. But also, if he actually cared and loved his woman so much to the point he would not let another man convince him, hey, go overseas and fight. Go over there and fight. That man would probably be like, what the fuck? I'm not going anywhere and fighting for you. My woman is right here. My kids are right here. My family's right here. I'm not going anywhere. But it's easier to do if you cause disconnect between the household, because sometimes the man's ready to fucking go anyway. And if you raise an unempathetic man, an emotionalist man, another thing he can't do is understand perspective well, because he has a harder time putting himself in other people's shoes because he's disconnected from his emotions. I think a lot of men are secretly anxious. They secretly have anxiety. And of course, they can't say it because it makes you less manly to say you have anxiety as a man. Or at least they want us to believe it's less manly. And so they feel like they can't voice their opinions with anyone else. They're very much in their own world, and they don't have, once again, an ability to connect with the emotions of others. And they know that they can't say it out loud, because if you say, well, I have a hard time connecting, my emotions with other people, what have they told us that is? Oh, that's a psychopath. That's a sociopath. That's antisocial personality. So that's another reason men don't say it out loud as much, because they want us to think males are inherently violent. And if they say out loud that they don't connect well with emotions, then now they're not, you know, lethal as in, oh, he can protect me. Now they're lethal and, oh, he can hurt me. So either way, they basically just shut the male up from the very beginning by saying you don't have any emotions. All you are is a provider and a protector. But they don't describe how you protect. They don't say protect all children. They don't teach maternity instinct to men usually. They teach protective instinct to men. And they say a man protects his family. They don't say men protect all people, men protect, all children. They just say a man protects his family. And a man doesn't show his emotions. A man has to be calculative because other men are out to get him. And that's just the way the world works. Now, I'm not saying this isn't based in fact, because as wars have started, competition has started, yeah, that is a fact that sometimes people will be out to get you. Sometimes people will be just ready to fucking bother you for no fucking reason. And it's definitely rooted in some type of history. But just because something has been this way for a long time does not mean it has to be that way forever and it can never change. So, and not only that, there were we don't see wars in the animal kingdom. We see small fights, but we don't really see wars, like huge battles. That's more of a human thing because humans are some of the most narcissistic creatures on the planet. We say, oh, this is our land, that's your land, this is our border, and this is where we're going to name our place. And you can name yours whatever you want. But if you come over here, now all of the people who live over here are going to fight you, and whoever comes with you. And so we have made wars. We have made this huge thing. So we've made this problem, and then we start to tell all of each other, hey, we should be afraid of this problem we created. We should be afraid of this. We should all, like, sharpen our tools and our knives and our minds and everything, for the battles to come. The ones we create and the ones we can stop creating so that we don't have to be so competitive with one another and live in this anxious state of people are out to get me, or I'm a man and I can't say how I feel, or else, you know? Is that the police? Okay. I was gonna say, they gotta go. I mean, not really. I'm not doing anything, but still, gotta go. But it's very hard because they don't have any other way to show their emotions. And all they know is something traumatized them. And instead of saying, hey, I was traumatized by my parents' divorce, or my parents' divorce devastated me, or I haven't quite healed or found closure or processed my parents' divorce, they just say, you know what, I don't ever want to feel like that. I don't ever want to look like that. I don't ever want a woman to bring me to my knees like that. And so they grow this hardened shell because they, once again, feel like they can't tell anybody. If they tell their friends may make fun of them. If they tell women, some women who are not educated may feel like men shouldn't show their emotions. And so they may say, oh, you're a sissy, or you're a crybaby, or really, you're still on that, like, that was years ago. Or, like, okay, well, people get divorced all the time, like, it's nothing, just get over it, you'll be fine, and just brush it off. And so they feel like, unfortunately, some of them don't ever take the chance to even try to talk about it. And they just say, you know what? I don't want that to be me. So I'm just going to, like, check out my emotions here. Whatever little ones I had left, I'm done. And they go on to feel like, in order for me not to get hurt, I can't empathize. I can't let someone play me. I can't, you know, feel what this person asked me to feel. I can't do what this person asked me to do. I don't care if they're right. I don't care how, it makes them feel. It's all about me, because if not, I could end up just like my dad, on my knees crying, and it just can't be me. So you know what? It's all about me, my way or the highway, and any bitch who doesn't fucking like it can fucking die. And that's how they go on living their life, because they feel like, if I'm going to be the strongest man and I'm not going to risk looking weak, I have to literally be the most lethal. And I have to be the one who's ready to kill. I have to be the one who's most ready to manipulate. I have to be the most calculative one. And it will get me the best of the best. And if I have the best of the best, everyone will love me. No one will want to leave me. And I'll have all the friends, all the power, all the women will love me. I will have all the love, and the love will never leave if I'm the best of the best. But I can't be the best of the best if I show weakness, if I show emotion, if I let empathy stop me. And they feel like it goes against their nature. They literally start to feel that way over years, that it goes against their nature. Because they have now identified with that. They've been told that so long. And it's kind of like, every day, if you wake up and you put on you know, a flamingo costume and everything, you eventually start to identify kind of as a flamingo. If you have worn that motherfucker for 40 years, parts of you will start to think like a fucking flamingo. And it goes back to the science of it all. You tell your body what it is, and your body, your cells, the universe, it really doesn't know yes or no, or right or wrong. It's a machine. It only knows what it's being told. And your spirit is a machine. It only knows what it's being told. And source is a machine. It only knows what it's being told. Everything is programmable. And so if you tell yourself, I don't have any emotions, I'm a man, I can't have emotions, by the time you're 30, it will be as it will be almost like breathing to not have emotions. It will be that easy. And to then try to heal or start to have emotions will literally feel like you're dying. And the reason is because a part of you is dying. The old part of you that didn't have emotions is dying, so the part of you that wants emotions can live. But it starts with the programming, and why they want us to believe that men don't have emotions or shouldn't have emotions to begin with. If a man instinctually fights for what he loves, if any human instinctually, any creature really, fights for what they love, if men had the ability to really love and empathize with their community and their brothers across the sea, or, their brothers in the neighborhood or in the community, the women around them, the children around them, no man would want to go to war. And so who would fight to keep the rich rich? Who would be stupid enough to fight to keep the rich rich? And the men who are rich are too cowardice to come and drag these men from their wives physically. So they do it mentally, starting by putting the program in them when they're kids. So when they're 30, they think it's their own idea to go and fight and to leave and to be lethal and to kill for them. And so that's why I say the government uses some of the highest form of alchemy and science possible to form that disconnect in communities and within specific genders, purposely. And that's why I say any man who can't have empathy is being played. He has been played by life. He has been played by capitalism. And he has been hijacked of any feeling, of any emotion. And yes, with that does come heartbreak. But at least you're able to love. At least you're able to be strong. And if you're able to get your heart broken, if you're able to lose something or risk losing something, it makes you want to fight to keep it, especially if you want it. And so they say women are too emotional as if it's a bad thing. However, women aren't the number one murderers, aren't the number one rapists, aren't seen as the most violent creatures to everything else walking. It's men. And the only difference between men and everything else alive is we have told men that they are inherently violent and that they inherently shouldn't have emotions so that they can be the ones that survive, so that they can be the most fittest to survive. But yet it has really only made them the most dangerous creatures, and as of recent years, the most unwanted creatures. And that's why we have a male lonely epidemic. No one wants to be around someone with no emotions and no empathy. No one wants to be around someone who's violent and who normalizes violence and injustice. Because we start to feel unsafe around those people. We start to feel unseen, uncared for around those people. And so we stop wanting to be around those people. And if we're not around those people, guess what else doesn't happen? There's less babies made, and the population goes down. And what is the problem now? We're starting to have a population crisis because less babies are being made because less women want to sleep with fucking men. And now men are lonely, and now men feel like all women aren't shit. And the cycle actually goes even further. Because if no men are loving women, if no men are protecting women, if no men are uplifting women, then what do women say? I gotta do it all my fucking self. I gotta do everything myself around here. And so they start to become more in their quote unquote masculine energy or their more physical energy. You know what? I'll pay the bills myself because I can't trust a fucking man to do it. You know what? I'm gonna start fucking carrying around guns and shit because I can't trust fucking men to do it without killing me. I'm gonna fucking start fighting every fucking body because I can't fucking trust a man. I'm gonna start building every fucking thing myself because I can't fucking trust a man. And so men start to say women are too difficult. Women are too difficult. They're too independent. They're too um hard to fucking control. They're not submissive enough. Because over years of actions of men, we have begun to stop trusting them and to stop wanting them around. And we are choosing to just do everything ourselves because then at least we'll have peace instead of a man who has no empathy cheating on us because a man's supposed to have all the, honeys he wants. As long as he's a provider, it should be fine. And we believe, you know what? I can do this myself and not have a man who cheats on me. I can do this myself and not have a man who beats on me or who lies to me or who doesn't show any emotion. I can do this myself and have a better time, a better peace of mind. And that is what they wanted all along. And that's why I say if you are any man who's fallen for such a system, or believes in such a way, you have literally been played by the system. And you're only doing yourself a disservice. And if you're a woman who believes these things as well, then you also do yourself a disservice, because now we say, oh, men aren't shit, men this, men that. What happened to the men who, what happened to this, and what da 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 da. But we have man up, man up, man up ourselves into men who no longer buy flowers, who no longer, feel like they should pay for this or pay for that. Or a woman who has children deserves to be able to still find love if something's happened to her man or whatever the case may be. She should be able to get another man. Now we have men who say, you know what, nah, let me and my fucking kids. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm not marrying a bitch who has kids. And so we have manned up and manned up and manned up, and men are supposed to do this, and men aren't supposed to do that, and they're not supposed to do this ourselves into emotionalist men who feel like we only want the hard ones, we only want the tough ones. And for a while, women did. And now we don't want those. And so we have to stop listening to society tell us what a man or a woman is supposed to be, and let individuals live in their truth. Because if not, we will continue to do ourselves a disservice as men and women alike. And of course, this isn't, for other genders or people who identify as something else, but even those male born or female born people have a right to be in touch with their emotions if they feel like they want to be something else or should be something else. Because it creates peace. If it's not bothering you, let them do what the fuck they want, instead of going to war about it and hanging people and drowning people and witch hunting a fucking about it. And so this is the spill on, I guess, a bit of gender, but also why we have such a disconnect between men and women these days, in my opinion, and why it is very much systematic, and it is very much what's the word I'm looking for, intentional, and has been a program that has been running and thought out for a really long time. And the world is not falling apart. Capitalism is falling apart, because now people are starting to once again elevate in consciousness, as I kind of talked about in my last video, but I was speaking more specifically on Black people. But as a whole, we live in a enclosed atmosphere. Okay? None of us are really fucking going to the moon like that. And so, since we all live in a circle or cube, either way, it's an enclosed space, it's kind of like the domino effect or the candle effect, or, I guess maybe you can call it the herpes or STD effect. You infect your neighbor, they infect your neighbor, they infect that person. Next, everyone's infected. Think of the coronavirus. It started in one place and then it went around the fucking world. Ebola started in one place, went around the fucking world. Doesn't matter how it got there. It matters that it started somewhere and then it eventually ended up around the world. AIDS, syphilis, herpes, gonorrhea. All of these diseases at one point were just one thing, and they went around the fucking world. And of course, with travel and things these days, it's even easier. With the internet, it's even easier. Okay? And so when we raise in conscious somewhere else, eventually those people who watch us, people we watch, we all affect each other, and then we all begin raising in consciousness. So even if it's happening in one community, it's damn sure also happening in another community, because we all get ideas from other people in the life we see around us. It's a very natural thing. makeup and things like that. It did come from plants originally and flowers and things like that. But what made us want to put those things on our faces? And when one person did it, what made everyone else start doing it? It's just something you like and something you say, you know what, I think that'll look good on me. And then you try it. And so when one person raises consciousness or changes their diet or finds something healthier, kind of like, and this is specifically now talking to the Black community, after Nipsey Hussle died, everyone started having a whole different diet because we were like, what was he working on? Who's Dr. Sebi? What's going on? And now there's a lot more of us who have just totally different lifestyles than we did pre Nipsey Hussle dying. And you can say the same thing on Twilight, silly bands, things like that, trends, if you will. But it's really just us observing the world we live in and choosing what we feel may work for us based on experience. We try it, and if we like it, we keep it. If we don't, we change it. But a lot of us like the feeling of elevating our consciousness and our vibration because we realize it's healthier for us and we feel better when we do it. So now that we're doing that, we have people saying, you know what, I'm not going to fight wars for you anymore. I'm not going to, do this for you anymore. I'm not going to support this anymore. I'm not going to support that anymore. And now we have the most boycotts we have at one time ever. We have, the least amount of people enlisting in the military than ever. And we all are connecting more than ever. Which I could go on and on about why I think that is eventually going to be a thing where they try to disconnect us from the internet and our phones and things, because what they wanted us to do with it and what it's becoming is not what they want. It's kind of like TikTok. The moment we all started using TikTok to actually spread news and knowledge and consciousness to each other, all of a sudden TikTok is the worst thing known to fucking man. The same thing when we started doing it on Facebook and selling things on Facebook Marketplace and making our own money. Now all of a sudden Facebook is selling our data and they're the most horrible company ever. Same thing with Twitter. It's a non-stop thing. The moment we start to do anything that connects us, they are going to try to find a way to shut it down. And it's because the moment we're connected and we begin empathizing with each other and seeing each other as humans, and especially when men are able to do it, it makes it harder for them to control us, and it makes it harder for them to not have to physically engage or battle us, because now we're too smart to fall for the tricks. And it's not normal the way men act. It's, like I said, it's very strategically placed in their mind that that's who they should be. And if kids who've never been here before don't know any better, then what do they learn? They learn from their parents, they learn from their peers. And if other parents are teaching your peers this, then everywhere you go, you hear and see the same thing, and you think that's the way the world must be. And so that's your role in life. And it's the same thing for women. And so now we're taught to not question it until we're older and we realize the truth of it. And unfortunately, we only learn again by observation or experience. So we have to go through a few heartbreaks, a few um, conflicts, a few tragedies and devastations and traumatic events uh, that then change us and change our vibration for a while. And so by the time you even know you should be fighting back, you're already halfway through your life sometimes. And that's exactly how they want it to be. because then by that time you have kids, or at least you're supposed to have kids. And, you have more to lose if you speak up. You have higher, risk involved and losses involved if you go against the norm. And that's exactly how they want it to be. And so, once again, if you don't know the war that they've placed on you and that you're fighting, or that you're supposed to be fighting, then by the time you realize it's it's halfway too fucking late. And that is their plan. And that is why I think men show wrath as their um as their default emotion, instead of being able to choose from all the other emotions that are out there, um and empathizing with the world around them. Whereas women, we've always gone through our emotions, and we've just learned how to navigate them a bit easier because we are used to feeling them and getting over them a bit more. Um, and not only that, women are supposed to smile more. They're supposed to seem friendlier more, be gentle more. And so, even if we are going through God knows what, we show it less. Not that we feel it less. Men feel it less and they show it less. But we feel it. It's just we show it a bit less because we're supposed to be more inviting. And it keeps us being the one who's pouring into others and never getting anything back. And once again, it keeps that cycle of disconnect going that they need us to have if they're going to be able to come between a man and woman who may love each other and fight for each other, and not risk being separated to go fight another battle, or because the man doesn't have empathy or depth to understand what's actually happening and that he's being played. Um, or even a young woman who's just taken her, you know, who's just taken the position she's been given willingly in life, um, because she thinks that that's just what men are supposed to do, and she doesn't think anything of it. And that's how they get away with it time and time again. And unless we break those cycles ourselves and understand that and accept it, especially for men, because it's harder for a man to accept he's been played than a woman, because then he feels like less of a man. But if we don't get, if we don't realize what's happening, we can't stop what's happening. And so they say you have to be a man, you have to be a man, you can't be played. And so it's harder to explain to a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old man or a 60-year-old man he's been played his whole life. And every little piece that they put in place is very carefully crafted and put there for a reason. And it's our job, I feel, if we are going based on survival instinct, to notice that and combat that. Because if not, we're going against our actual natural instinct to do so. And that is the alchemy and power that they've used against us. It's so powerful that we don't even realize we're doing it because it feels so normal, because we've been doing it since we were children. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna fucking stop it here.